This is the first game she started for them. When Courtney was out for the games that she was out, she was starting for them, and played well for them in those lineups. So we know that their big lineup is a lineup that causes a little bit of problems, not just for us, but for other teams as well, just because of their size. But I mean, that kid is a good basketball player. Super excited for the opportunity for us to have a next play mentality. I think all year we've been in situations like this before, but the way that this group bounces back, I'm extremely proud of this group and the way it bounces back. So I'm looking forward to seeing how they can do that tonight.
Coach, two, if I could. One, you and Tina have been in exactly this situation together
Hmm.
as players. I'm wondering how much you've sort of leaned into that. You guys have had a discussion about things you've learned from those experiences that maybe you're putting into play tonight.
To be honest, it's hard to explain when you're in these type of instances. You just have to be able to experience to understand what it feels like and how you have to show up. So we have some players who have also been in this experience before. Actually, this roster, our last 3 games were all must-win games for us in order to continue our season. And they handled it like pros. So I expect them to come out with the same mentality and attitude that they've came out with for the last month of our season.
And just related to that, you talked about getting punched in the mouth at the
Yeah,
start of this one. Obviously, a fast start helps
yeah.
any team, but how critical is it in this particular situation, knowing the stakes?
Yeah, we have to. I think our mentality has to be there first and foremost before we physically can do that. We have to have a mentality that we're gonna push first. You know what I mean? And we're not gonna be bullied or anything like that. We're gonna throw the first punch. And so I think if we come out with that focus and that mentality, like we'll put ourselves in a good position. Hmm.
Hey, Tanisha. I'm curious if you could explain to us what you and your staff have been able to do to help transform and develop Nas into a starter and a key role player on your team.
Yeah, Nas has done a tremendous job, I think, over the course of her career of really um, buying into the little things and craving and carving out a niche for herself and understanding she has to find multiple ways to be able to impact the game, and I think that's what she's doing really well, and I think that's what she's going to do really well over her career, even as she develops. She's not going to be somebody who hones in and focuses on one thing. She's going to be somebody who does a lot of different things really well. So she's always going to be um, a valuable piece anywhere she goes.
Appreciate that. And also, I'm just curious if you could take us through the discussions that you and Dan had about leading you to sign Kalu and how much of a WNBA future you think she can have.
Yeah, it's not for me to say anything about WNBA future, anything like that. But for us, we were down a body, and you want to go into the playoffs with as many experienced players as you can. Her experience, obviously, being in the Olympics, playing on the big stage, was really important and really a valuable piece.
Sandy mentioned, referencing this morning New York's first round match with Washington last year and just how Washington pushed New York in the first round. I'm just curious if you mentioned at all, today or in the lead up to, into today's game, the playoff series with Dallas last year at all and the game 2 performance last year at all, or did you flush that, move on, completely different year?
Yeah, we're focused on where we are right now. Again, we feel like we have a great opportunity. We feel like, we've had opportunities against this particular team with this particular roster and with our roster, and so the mentality has to be there first and foremost. And like I said earlier, I feel like if we come out with the right mentality, everything else will fall in line.
Hey, coach. So Niara Sabli's really found her way in the last couple of weeks of the regular season and now into the postseason. Obviously, Jonquel Jones is a tough defend, but how much more tough is it when you have Niara Sabli as well, really finding her game recently?
Yeah, in general, I think they've done a great job with really bolstering their bench. and they contribute in different ways to impact and affect winning. And ER is just another one of those who comes in and you see that there's no real drop off. Obviously, she has experience too, playing at the highest level within the Olympics as well, and her time in Oregon, and just getting healthy now and able to be out there and contribute. She's a top 5 pick for a reason. So now she's able to get opportunity to show that.
Coach, can you talk a little about the joy that it seems Tina has found this year? I mean, she's always been a great player, but it seems she's happy, smiling, enjoying her role as being a leader on this team, vocally and on the court.
Yeah, I think the experience Tina had the last couple years, being able to just be in a situation where you kind of relax and really enjoy the game of basketball again, because I think that's important for all of our players. There's a love that they play with and a joy that they play with. Everybody that plays this game loves it. You hope you hope that they all love it, and so I think like maybe it's just like a renewed and a refreshed start for her. So there's a sense of like relaxation, and breathing room, and you're able to just be able to play free. And I think that's what you're seeing.
Hi, Coach. How you doing? Thank you for taking the time. Well, you've seen a different look with Coach Sandy Brondello starting layover Courtney Vandersloot. How much time have you guys had to prepare for this change, and how much has Leo been on the scouting report for you? Like, how much of a focus will you put on her tonight?
I mean, she started for them a lot of games. This is the first game she started for them. When Courtney was out for the games that she was out, she was starting for them. And played well for them in those lineups. So we know that their big lineup is a lineup that causes a little bit of problems, not just for us, but for other teams as well, just because of their size. But I mean, that kid is a good basketball player. She's on the German Olympic team for a reason. She has a skill set to be able to be here, which is why they brought her in. So I mean, she's obviously part of the scouting report and the things that she brings to the table to help them.
Hi, Tanisha.
Hey.
In post game, Ryan mentioned that in the third quarter, the team had a lot more space to work with, and that's how she was able to really sort of find that success in scoring.
Yeah.
How do you think you guys will be able to sort of build off her third quarter and sort of bring it into tonight's game?
Yeah, that's a good observation. We felt like we needed to open it up a little bit more because of their size. And we do a lot of screening with our smalls and with our bigs, sometimes double screening. So trying to open it up a little bit more so those Rye, Leash, they can have more space to operate, so the switching doesn't affect us as much. So we'll look at that tonight. We'll see what we can do tonight to kind of try to open that up and free her up a little bit more.
Hi, Coach. Thank you for taking the time. Over the last 2 games against New York, you have put in 84 points per game, which New York has expressed some displeasure over. 84 points in the paint combined over the last 2 games. I apologize.
Okay.
So, and you got Jonquel and Niara in foul trouble in the last game too. So how can you use the interior to your advantage despite New York's size tonight? And how can that push you further to victory? How can you make that a bigger advantage tonight?
Yeah, I think for us, a lot of that happens within our transition. In that first game, we didn't get much transition because we didn't get many stops. So it really starts with us being able to get stops on the defensive end, so we can get out and run and get some easier points transition. Obviously, we have Tina Charles, who's a future Hall of Famer, and we got to get her touches down there. Anytime you put pressure at the rim, you know what I mean, that really opens things up. So, but it starts with us on the defensive end, trying to get out, get some stops so we can get out and run in transition. A lot of our points come in that manner as well. Nas cutting, you know what I mean, when people are doubling Tina, different things like that, making sure we have cutters and stuff like that. So we have to do a great job of defending so that we can get out and run some more. No problem. Thank you.
We'll go to one on Zoom. Go ahead, Megan.
Hey, Coach, good to see you. Wanted
Thank you.
to ask you, in the other pregame presser, Coach Brondello was talking about how they use Bednaja to kind of disrupt Jordan's timing and that nature, without revealing, obviously, game plan. Did you notice that, of course, when you went back and looked at the film, and how do you kind of account for something like that?
Yeah, I think I noticed it in the game, Megan. Oh, it really slowed down our transition. Jordan's a big piece of that. She understands that. But I think some of that was also Jordan. Jordan can correct some of that stuff by by picking up her pace a little bit as well. So I think again, like I talked about the mental earlier and the mindset earlier. If Jordan wants to speed the ball up, she can speed the ball up. It's just a mentality that she's going to get the ball in and she's going to push the pace the way she needs to. But it also starts with our defense. Again, getting stops so we can be able to get runs so we're not always taking the ball out of the net. And think that happened a lot, especially in the first half, especially in the first quarter. Our second quarter, third quarter, and fourth quarter wasn't as bad as that first quarter, and they're scoring 30 points. It's hard to get the ball in transition when you're always taking it out the net. Thank
Thanks,
you
Coach.
guys.